Hello and welcome to Casual Learning. I'm your host, John Bannon. Today I'm going to do a review of Chapter 14 of my newest book, God and Our Superdeterministic Universe, the number one argument for the existence of God. Chapter 14 is entitled The End of Pantheism. Pantheism is a doctrine which identifies God with the universe or regards the universe as a manifestation of God. Pantheism was popularized in Western culture as a theology and philosophy based on the work of the 17th century philosopher Baruch Spinoza. Christian theology opposes the idea of pantheism and considers it a heresy. Christianity says that God created everything, not that God is everything, or that everything is God. If you look at the Christian Bible, the first sentence of the Bible, well, line one of the book of Genesis says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." So, pretty clearly, Christian doctrine says that God is separate from his creation. They're not the same. They shouldn't be intermingled to be considered somehow the same thing. So Christianity opposes pantheism. Pantheists say that the universe was created ex deo, meaning out of God, whereas Christian theism teaches that the universe was created ex nihilo, and that means out of nothing or from non existence. Now, even Albert Einstein was a pantheist who believed in Spinoza's God. In fact, you'll hear the idea of Spinoza's God even today. You may hear some physicists or scientists claim that they believe in Spinoza's God. And all that is really saying is that they believe that the laws of physics are essentially the God of this universe. They're responsible for the creation of this universe. Therefore, they're the God of this universe, but not the personal God that Christians think of. The laws of physics are certainly not a personal God. So, when you hear about Spinoza's God, this is really sort of hiding the fact that the person is really an atheist. In 1936, a New York Sunday school student wrote to Einstein and asked if scientists pray. And Einstein replied that because nature is ruled by laws, a research scientist will hardly be inclined to believe that events could be influenced by a wish addressed to a supernatural being. In other words, Einstein saying that because the universe is governed by unchangeable laws of physics, then there is no room for a God to intervene in human affairs in order to grant a prayer, because that would change the laws of physics. And because the laws of physics don't change, then God cannot intervene in human affairs. Therefore, the idea of a personal God who will hear your prayer and grant your request is impossible because the laws of physics don't change. So that God could never intervene to grant a prayer. However, superdeterminism, and especially Dr. Hansen's version of superdeterminism, completely demolishes pantheism. So Dr. Hansen proved in 2020 that the universe is superdeterministic. More specifically, it's a block reality without temporal causation or continuous causation in time. You can read the proof yourself. It's found in the peer-reviewed physics journal Physics Essays, volume 33, number 2, June 2020, page 216. And the irony of this is that Dr. Hansen used Einstein's own special theory of relativity to prove that the universe is superdeterministic. So Einstein's own theory is being used against him to prove that he's wrong, that uh, God, there isn't a God who can answer prayers. So first thing is, because temporal causation isn't real, Dr. Hansen proved that, um, then the laws of physics cannot be an ontologically uh, metaphysical real thing which could act in the place of God. So Dr. Hansen showed that there's no such thing as temporal causation. And because of that, there's no reason to believe that there's these ontologically real metaphysical laws of physics that are continuously causing reality to exist at every moment in time. Because temporal causation isn't real, so it can't actually cause anything. So why would you believe in the existence of something that doesn't cause something to make you believe it exists? Therefore, the laws of physics are not real. They're just a mathematical description of the behavior of matter and energy in the universe, but ontologically speaking, they're not a real thing. So because they're not a real thing, they can't take the place of God. Second, the universe is predetermined. Dr. Hansen proved it was predetermined. It's a static block reality without temporal causation, which means it is predetermined. It is basically a higher dimensional static object consisting of abutting hyperplanes of space-time. It's non-temporally caused, but it doesn't have temporal causation in it. So it has to be predetermined. Therefore, God does not have to intervene in time in order to grant a prayer request. Rather, God can predetermine his response to somebody's predetermined prayer when the universe is non-temporally created. So God's response to prayers are already baked into the universe. There's no need to change the laws of physics at all. God's response to the prayer is incorporated into the predetermined universe, and the predetermined universe has a certain order to it, which we mathematically describe as the laws of physics. But that order already incorporates God's response to somebody's prayer. So you don't need to change the laws of physics in order for God to respond to somebody's prayer in a predetermined static block universe or reality without temporal causation. Third, God is divinely simple without parts. This is because God is uncaused. And if God had parts, then God would be caused by his parts, and therefore God couldn't be uncaused. So God, because he's uncaused, has to be divinely simple without parts. But the universe is full of parts. Everywhere you look, there's parts in the universe. Therefore, God and the universe cannot be the same thing. It's logically impossible. God has no parts. The universe has only parts. They can't commingle those two. They're not the same thing at all. God cannot be the universe. There you go. That was a quick demonstration of how pantheism is completely demolished by Dr. Hanson's version of superdeterminism, as well as a bit of philosophy about God's uncaused nature. So don't fall into this trap, into thinking that Spinoza was correct. He's not. It's a heresy. Um, so stay clear of it and understand that it's disproven. Um, okay, I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. And the next video will be on chapter 15, a review of chapter 15, which is entitled Original Sin. All right, take care.